Hey folks, Justin from Tackle Tactics. Today we are continuing on with our how to rig and fish a particular ZMan plastic, and we're wrapping up the range of grubs. So we've gone through the 2-inch grubs, the 2.5-inch grubs, the 3.5-inch grubs, and now we're on to the big bopper, the 9-inch grubs. So again, that 10 times tough Elastec material, so extremely durable, stands up to those toothy critters and aggressive strikes and that sort of thing, and also buoyant, so we get that buoyant tail up action, that tail up floating around, attracting fish and triggering strikes. So our 9-inch grubs has a long history because it is one of the first models that we actually had in ZMan plastics in Australia. So it's been around for a lot of years, and it's still in the range because it still catches fish. People use it on a lot of different species, and this big curl tail, those that fish their curtails know you get loads of action. You get loads of action on the sink, you get loads of action on the retrieve. So they're a great plastic for beginners, and they're deadly in the hands of experienced anglers. So those curl tails are a very popular plastic, and a big curl tail, you're getting a big profile, you're getting loads of action, and it appeals to those larger predatory species in the fresh and the salt. So it catches a stack of different species. Catches barra, catches mulloway, threadfin, snapper, all sorts of species. Murray cod. If it's a large predatory species that eats larger size bait, whether it be bait fish, big prawns, lizards, snakes, frogs, whatever it's eating that's large, this is a great plastic to throw at them. And it's also extremely versatile because we can rig it really light, and being ZMan buoyant Elastec material, we can fish it high in the water column, fish it on the surface, or we can weight it extremely heavily and fish it right down deep for WA dhufish, all sorts of different species in the deeper water as well. So how do we rig this plastic to effectively target a range of species? Well, actually, before I get into rigging, colours, let's talk colours, because there is a few ranges. It's not as big as the range of colours in, say, a minnows or a grubs, 2-inch grubs, 2.5-inch grubs, but there's about 7 colours in the range, and it covers those key colours that we want. So we've got our pearl and we've got our violet sparkle, so we've got those light natural baitfish colours. We've also got a darker colour in that motor oil, which is popular, and then we've also got our fluoros, which are also UV colours in our chartreuse sparkle, neon pink, and we also have a glow in this grubs, and that glow is very popular for guys fishing deep water for reef and pelagic species, and also for fishing off the rocks and fishing off the beach. So there's plenty of colours in the range that cover the bases that we need to cover. Rigging it, so primarily a lot of guys will fish it on a Rev Locks HD jig head. So that's a brutally strong mustard black nickel chemically sharpened hook. So it's designed for taking on big fish, big plastic, big fish. So the jig head suits our application perfectly. So we've got our grub keeper there, which is that split grip headlock keeper, and that's designed so that when we slide our plastic up and over there, the plastic locks into that gap between the head and the grub keeper, holds it on nice and secure. So if you make a big long cast or you're fishing deep water and you get a tap, chances are your plastic's still in place, so you can keep fishing and hopefully you get that fish to return and have another crack if you don't get it on the first go. So in a Rev Locks HD, I've got it here rigged on a 6.0, a 7.0 and an 8.0. That's the most popular size hooks that we fish in this 9-inch grubs. So there you go, a 6.0. So that'll do your medium sort of size species. A 6.0, a lot of species can eat a 6.0 no problem. We step up to that 7.0 and we've got that larger hook exposure, and then when you get to your barra or your Murray cod or your big reefies, that 8.0 gives you plenty of hook clearance. So there's lots and lots of opportunity for that fish to hook up. You know, a barra will suck that in, spit it out again. So you want that hook exposure to get that hook set into their mouth. So you can go something light like this here. That's a nice light jig head with a 6.0. You know, up the weight to your 3/4 ounce, 1 ounce, 1.5 ounce for offshore and heavier water applications, mouths of seaways, rivers, bars, those sorts of things. And then our Rev Locks HD goes through to a 3 ounce in an 8.0. So 3 ounce is a lot of weight and generally covers most of the offshore fishing that guys will do. You know, that pearl or that glow, definitely really, really popular offshore colours on that big head, fish down deep. For a stack of different reef species, coral trout, snapper, all sorts of bits and pieces will eat that, as well as pelagics eating it on a high-speed retrieve back up, or when it's worked down there in amongst bait and around structure. But if 3 ounces isn't enough for you, you can also check out these beasts. So these are Tournament Series extra heavy duty jig heads. So they are built on a big O'Shaughnessy hook. It is a brutally strong hook. I think I could anchor my kayak with it. It is really a heavy hook. So if you're dropping it down for real deep water ooglies and you want a really giant solid hook, check out that beast. So that's a 4 ounce. They come in lighter sizes, but I've got a 4 ounce and a 6 ounce there. So that's 6 ounces of weight with the hook in there. It'll stop virtually anything you can hook on it. So that Headlocks HD is a great starting point, 607080, and then that's an option there for those that are fishing really deep water, big fish on plastics. You know, send a glow one down on that and you never know what'll eat it. So that's our standard rigging on our standard heads. Then we step over to our big eyes. So the big eyes have been extremely popular and they're also going to go great with the GrubZ. So basically we've got that mustard black nickel chemically sharpened hook again. So we've got that Headlocks hook, so plenty of stopping power. But we've teamed it up with a minnow-shaped head. It's painted and it's got big 3D eyes in there. So some people like those big eyes to trigger strikes from fish and attract predators. So there's a stack of sizes available in the big eyes. Those 7.0 hooks will suit this plastic perfectly. So you may wish to team the colours up together, like that there for instance. So we've got our neon pink 9-inch GrubZ and we've got it rigged on our pink head with silver eyes. So that's pretty cool, matching the head and the plastic together. Otherwise you may want to contrast it up completely. So something like that, we've gone with our black head with a glow eye, rigged with a glow plastic. So you can imagine that thing drop down in the depths, glow eye, glow plastics, black head for contrast. That's going to be attracting some reefies and stuff down deep there as well. So that's our big eyes jig head, another brutally strong hook, but you've got that option of that painted head to match your plastic or contrast your plastic. And then from there, we might want to add some flash and vibration to our plastic. So we can do that via a Rev Locks Jighead. So the Rev Locks Jighead, again, we're on that Headlocks HD hook again. So brutally strong hook. We've got our headlock keeper to lock it in place, same as we do on our Headlocks and our big eyes. This time though, it's an underspin style jig head. So we've got an arm coming down from here with a heavy duty swivel on there and a blade that spins underneath there. So that's going to add flash and vibration on the sink and also on the retrieve to attract fish and trigger strikes. So there we go. Again, that 7.0 is a good option for this size plastic, the 9-inch GrubZ. I've got a 3/4 7.0 and a 1 ounce 7.0 there as examples, and you can see the blades on those are very different. So on one, I've got a rounder blade, which is the Colorado in gold, and on this one here, I've got a willow in a silver. So some people prefer the silver, especially in saltwater applications, that clearer water, cleaner water, they like that silver. Dirtier and tannin stained water, like say chasing a barra or a Murray cod with this jig head, they might go for opt for the gold, and the Colorado will spin at slower speeds than the willow. Both deadly, both effective, and another way to just sort of pimp up your plastic, add a bit of flash and vibration, so you're sort of crossing it over between a couple of different types of lures. Another easy way to change things up. And we can also add flash and vibration using a heavy duty jig spinner. So big plastic, big fish, heavy duty jig heads, we need to step up our jig spinners from the smaller ones that we might use for bass. So that's a TT Lures Jig Spinner HD. That's it there in the pack. A couple of them in a packet, and that's in the larger frame size. There's a small frame size and a medium frame size, and that is the gold Colorado blade on there. And that's a simple way to add flash and vibration. So it's basically a wire arm like a coat hanger. We've got an end that is like a quick clip so that we can quickly attach and detach our plastic from the actual jig spinner. And then we tie onto this bend in the middle, and that blade will sit at the top and spin, and our plastic will ride underneath it. It's also an effective way of making your plastic a little bit more weedless as well. You can bounce that through structure and weed a little bit more without fouling up as easily. So that's the jig spinner attached, and that's just on a Headlocks jig head there. So you could have that attached to a big eyes, you could have it attached to a Rev Locks, whatever you want to do there, and you can just clip your jig spinner on to add flash and vibration. So there we go, that's our standard rigging for our 9-inch GrubZ. And then we can also weedless rig this GrubZ. So it's a deadly, really, really effective way. I've seen some awesome barra caught trolling in kayaks around weed edges. One of our pro anglers, Dave Brace, has caught some epic barra loads of barra up to even over 1.30 m on one of these 9-inch grubs, slow trolled around weed beds and weed edges. With that weedless rigging, you don't foul up as easily, that's for sure. So there's our chin locks. So that's an 8.0 chin locks unweighted, and the chin locks refers to that chin lock keeper on the front there. So that allows us to lock that super soft and flexible plastic in place so that it doesn't slide down the jig head. So that's our 9-inch grubs on an 8.0 chin locks. So no weight in that. So we can crawl that around in amongst weed. We can crawl it over logs. We can crawl it all through structure and try and stir up a Murray cod or a barra, you know. Might look like a lizard or a snake making its way across the surface of the water. So rod tip up, we can wind it on the surface. Otherwise we can slow it down and allow it to just sit a little deeper in the water. So that's weedless rigged. And being a grub profile with that long elongated sort of body, it clears the hook really easily when a fish bites that. So don't worry about the fact that we've got our hook point buried in the top of the plastic there. We can actually even slide that in further and bury it if we want. Our fish will clear that big 9-inch grubs easily on that 8.0 hook. So that's a great option for larger predatory species. That's awesome for surface and fishing high in the Wardham column without any weight. We can change it up to our Chinlocks SWS, and that has the belly weight, so called the snagless weight system. So it's got our keeper at the front there again, but it's got a belly weight, and that belly weight allows us to get slow fall and also increases our casting distance. So if we want to get that grub out there a bit further, we can. We can also allow it to slow fall into structure and into weed, and then we can twitch it and pause it and move it out through that structure. Getting it out is easy until a fish eats it, and then it's over to you because you'll get some big brutal fish eat this thing in structure. So perfect for Murray cod, barramundi, even mulloway and that sort of thing as well. Any of those larger predatory species. And then if we're looking for more weight again, we can step it up to our snake locks, and that's a snake locks weedless jig head. So with our snake locks we can clip the weight off the front, and we've basically got our chin lock set up, clip the weight on there, and away we go. So some guys will carry a selection of snake locks weights, and then they'll carry a selection of hooks, including that 8.0 that's got you covered for fishing that ZMan 9-inch grubs, Murray cod, barramundi. Look out on that presentation. So you can see virtually half the plastic or more is tail. So you can imagine the crazy action on that plastic, but once a fish strikes it, that tail basically folds away and there's not much to that plastic. So it appears to be a big plastic, and its name suggests it's a big plastic, 9-inch grubs, loads of action, loads of profile. But once a fish strikes that, they're virtually striking the hook because that tail just folds out of the way. So deadly presentation, fished standard and fished weedless. It also makes an excellent spinnerbait trailer. So for your larger spinnerbaits for Murray cod, something like that there, that's our Tornado. So TT Lures Tornado spinnerbait, 1/2 ounce with a double Colorado blade set up on there, and you can see that tail out the back of that adds a lot of profile and also movement to that spinnerbait. But again, because it's predominantly that tail, once a fish strikes, they find the hook on that spinnerbait. So that's on a Tornado, 1/2 ounce Tornado, deadly presentation for cod. And here we've matched the plastic colour. So we've got a Fire Tiger scale in our spinnerbait, so we've matched that Fire Tiger with a chartreuse sparkle in the grubs. And then our striker, so that's a big striker spinnerbait, TT Lures striker, and we've matched that colour. So this is a purple glimmer, which is a popular colour, and we've matched that purple glimmer up with a pearl plastic, so a glow plastic is also popular with that there. So again, we could switch it up and we could go for contrast on there if we wanted to. So we could put a motor oil on instead of that pearl and contrast up the skirt and the plastic, but that looks pretty sweet. Matched up nicely like that. So an excellent spinnerbait trailer, and also a deadly plastic rigged in a stack of different ways that you can see there. So it can be a plastic that you can fish virtually on the surface to stir up larger predatory species that are feeding high in the water column, say kingfish, barra eating off the top, that sort of thing, Murray cod. Otherwise, it can be a plastic that you can weight and sink it to the absolute depths in search of those deep water ooglies. So a very versatile plastic and an excellent plastic for targeting larger predatory species. So that's our ZMan 9-inch grubs, You can check out more, including the colour range and that sort of thing, at tackletactics.com.au. If you're into your big predatory species, get out there, give that big sucker a crack. All the best with the fishing.